Efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 being stepped up as cases across the world surge past the 2.3 million mark. How the Democratic Republic of Congo is dealing with resurgence of Ebola amid the coronavirus pandemic. And Ugandans shift to using bicycles after the banning of public and private motorized transport. You're watching Africa Live. A warm welcome to the show. I am Peninah Karibe. Also coming up tonight, Tunisia engages digital services providers to create online learning content. And millions of Egyptians to miss their treat of fermented salty fish during the Orthodox Easter. Let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 figures. The number of confirmed cases worldwide has passed 2.3 million. Over 162,000 people have died. The US has seen a surge of more than 28,000 new cases in the past day. Total cases there top 735,000. That's about a third of the global total. Meanwhile, more than half of all cases are in Europe, with Spain and Italy among the hardest hit. Turkey has overtaken Iran for the first time as the worst-hit country in the Middle East. Its total has surpassed 82,000. The Chinese mainland confirmed 16 new cases on Saturday, 9 of them imported. Africa has so far recorded more than 21,000 cases of COVID-19. The number of recoveries has risen to nearly 5,000. Kenya has confirmed 8 more cases of the coronavirus, bringing the total number to 270. According to the country's health ministry, 14 people have died. The ministry is also calling on Kenyans to brace themselves as local transmissions increase. In Nigeria, 22 ExxonMobil workers who had been quarantined for a week have been freed. They were arrested for violating an order restricting movement in and out of Port Harcourt in Rivers State. In Mali, Prime Minister Boubou Cissé has defended his decision to proceed with elections despite the coronavirus threat. Cissé says this is the only chance of returning to the country to stability. The West African nation has so far confirmed 216 cases with 13 deaths. The polls are underway. Nigeria has begun a mass COVID-19 voluntary testing exercise in the cities of Abuja and Lagos. The tests will help authorities track the rising number of cases and contain the spread of the virus. The country has confirmed more than 500 coronavirus cases. CGTN's Kelechi Emekalam reports.
On the outskirts of the Nigerian capital, Abuja, thousands of residents troop out for COVID-19 testing. It's the first time officials are taking tests to rural communities, a part of government's effort to curb the spread of the virus. Abuja has the second highest number of confirmed cases in the country after Lagos. Public health workers are focusing on suburbs and rural communities.
We analyze the data. We find out that the key places where these cases are coming from is in the city center. We're looking at the people that work for the key people in the city center, like the house help, the houseboys, the drivers, the relations that are living in the communities that are less privileged. What happened to them? They would have been in contact with this disease one way or the other, and with people that have the disease one way or the other, and they might not even know. Even when they know, they will not know what to do. So that was the choice of these communities to actively search for all these cases.
Getting a chance to be tested is a relief for many residents here. It's coming amid a lockdown and the struggle to survive.
I'm happy.
I'm happy to do the test, but there's hunger. I'm appealing to the government to come to our aid by providing the palliatives so that people will be able to survive the lockdown.
Money because you money go buy something.
The government's target is to scale up testing to 4,000 daily in local communities across the country. Nigeria has seen a surge in cases since the mass COVID-19 tests started. Those affected have now been isolated and are being closely monitored. Kelechi Emekalam, CGTN Abuja, Nigeria.
A South African molecular biologist has appreciated China's efforts in combating COVID-19. Professor Bertram Fielding, who is the Director of Research Development at the University of Western Cape, says the world has learned a lot from China and the World Health Organization. The information has enabled countries, especially in Africa, understand how to fight and control the viral outbreak. Bertram also says unity and promotion of transnational cooperation is one sure way of defeating the pandemic.
The open sharing of research information is extremely important. So I've been very impressed by the number of articles speaking about COVID-19 and SARS coronavirus too, especially from China. The amount of data that's been shared by Chinese scientists has been really amazing. And I'm convinced that without this information from a country that was really at the coalface in fighting this virus right at the outset, was very important for us to understand much of this virus. And it has just proven again that for us to effectively control and fight any future epidemic or pandemic, we need to really look at sharing information as freely and as widely as possible, and for countries to really work together.
Fielding also commended China for containing the epidemic within its borders and assisting other countries in dealing with the pandemic. He says China has deployed medical experts and much needed supplies.
I think the move by the Chinese government, offering the expertise and offering medical assistance and medical equipment is what every other financial economic superpower should be looking at. As soon as countries have the expertise or they have the economic means to support, I think it's important and extremely important to share that as early as possible, especially developing countries. We know that not all countries, especially the developing countries, has the infrastructure or the economic means to fight pandemics effectively very often. So for any economic power, world power like China to step up, I think is a very important next step in this fight.
Health officials in the Democratic Republic of Congo are urging communities to cooperate with medical professionals. The country has recorded new cases of Ebola in eastern DRC last week, just 2 days before the outbreak was set to be declared over. Authorities have also registered more than 300 cases of COVID-19. CGTN's Chris Ochamringa has more from Kinshasa.
The east of the DRC has been rocked by conflict for over 2 decades. Authorities there are now fighting a war against highly infectious diseases. Ebola and COVID-19 cases have been reported in North and South Kivu provinces. But the government is optimistic it will win the battle with the expertise gained in dealing with Ebola.
À la crise Covid, il faut communiquer.
We will be able to contain COVID-19 and Ebola by engaging the communities in the affected areas with clear messages about what they should do. Once they understand and follow the guidelines, the risk of spreading the diseases will be reduced.
The DRC is dealing with several other epidemics, but doesn't have enough funds to deal with them. International aid agencies have played a big role in supporting the government's fight against Ebola and other diseases.
You were talking about to intensify surveillance, epidemiological surveillance in the field. Even after the end of the outbreak, you plan to intensify surveillance during 90 days surveillance, because this type of situation can happen.
Most of the COVID-19 cases have been reported in Kinshasa. The city has an estimated population of 12 million people. Not many of them have been observing social distancing measures. Health experts have warned of a peak in COVID-19 cases next month. The World Bank and the US government have offered DRC authorities a total of $53 million to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. But the disease has now spread to areas that are racked by conflict. That will make it very difficult for healthcare workers to contain it. Chris Ochamringa, CGTN, Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo.
Egyptians are marking Sham el-Nassim on Monday. The spring festival follows one day after Orthodox Easter and is usually enjoyed with a family picnic. But this year, the government has called on Egyptians to celebrate indoors and has announced a number of additional restrictions for the day. Here's Adel Mahri with more on that.
It's a festive week in Egypt, beginning with the Orthodox Christian holiday of Easter, ending with the Islamic holy month of Ramadan, and Sham el-Nassim in between. Millions usually rush to outdoor attractions. To avoid any form of public crowding, the country is stepping up its COVID-19 measures.
We began taking the virus seriously, but with the extension in the preventative measures, people are starting to get bored. They are gradually letting go of their hygienic habits. They are getting bored, and that's a concern. If they don't abide to the government restrictions, the country could face a catastrophe.
All parks, beaches and shops have been instructed to shut. Even food home deliveries has been put on hold. Public transportation have been ordered to suspend to prevent public mobilization within and between cities during Sham el-Nassim.
All churches are shut, and that has remained the case during the Resurrection Day. The government wants to cut the influx of people to Cairo and other attraction cities during the holiday, which could pose a great risk of faster COVID-19 infection.
Egypt has crossed the 3,000 mark for COVID-19 cases. Despite the night curfew strictly imposed, the government says it's expecting the numbers to grow. Millions of Egyptians have been forced to stay at home for over a month. But some have figured a way to take a break from this lockdown. They park their cars by the Nile and get out to enjoy a breath of air. But that will not be allowed during Sham el-Nassim. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
You're watching Africa Live. Let's take a short break. Coming up. Ugandans shipped 2 bicycles in response to the banning of public and private motorized transport. And Tunisia engages digital services providers to create online learning content.
How will your world change today? What happens here? What happens there? Or what you make happen for yourself? If it matters to you, it matters to us too. Your stories are the stories that need to be told. Africa Live. Find your voice.
Ugandans have been taking up cycling to get around during the coronavirus lockdown. The government has imposed a number of transportation restrictions to curb the spread of COVID-19. Leon Sinyanga reports from Kampala.
Kampala, now a city on 2 wheels. The government ban on public transport over the coronavirus pandemic has got many riding.
It's the only way I can get to work, because apparently I have to follow the government directives.
A national lockdown has also created time for those not working to exercise more as well. With no traffic, a ride around seems very comfortable.
This is my third day riding. I'd come to Karibe to buy some other things here. There are no things in Peninah, so I decided to come here and buy some other things here.
Bicycles are the easiest means to move around now. But for some, it's about trying to get back to what was an old hobby. For Emmanuel Mwanguzi, repairing his old bike and getting it on the road has brought back childhood memories.
While I was young, I used to like riding a bicycle. So basically, it's fun for me, I should say.
The desire to ride has also caused the surge in bicycle sales. This store has seen bookings and sales shoot up.
People were using their cars to move around or public transportation, but now since that has been put on hold, we have definitely seen a very spiked interest, I would say, in bicycles.
It is still uncertain when the coronavirus pandemic will end here, but its effects have made the bicycle a basic necessity. Leon Sanyange, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
Over the weekend, police were deployed in Gauteng to enforce South Africa's strict coronavirus measures. Gauteng is the country's economic hub and is also the current epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak in South Africa. CGTN's Yolisa Njamela has more.
Stay at home. That's one of the main messages from the lockdown rules. But people continue to mill around, flouting the set rules. This weekend, police set up operations around Gauteng province to ensure adherence and arrest those who contravene the lockdown rules.
We felt that we need to come here and assert and reassert the authority of the state, and at the same time educate the community around here to say it is important for them to comply with the regulation. It's for the interest of all of us as a country. We receive a lot of complaints from the community. Also, our intelligence community, they've identified this area as one of the area whereby non-compliance is very high. And as we all know, that Johannesburg is the epicenter in Gauteng. So if we don't contain the situation here in Johannesburg, we'll completely lose Gauteng as a province.
Government lockdown orders mean all citizens, except those who deliver essential service, must stay at home. The rules do not allow for going out or dog walking, except for visits to grocery stores, pharmacies, and doctors. No sales of alcohol or cigarettes are permitted during the lockdown. A number of people have been arrested, many as a result of contravening the liquor sale prohibition.
Alcohol, it remains a challenge for us. We have also observed that some of the licensed liquor outlets, they close the front door while they are using the back door to sell to their known customers. Some of them, they place orders online and then they come and collect and so forth. But these people, they forget that, even ourselves, we are also there on the social space. We can see these adverts and then we place our own orders and then we go. When they say come and collect, and then we collect the owner of that liquor outlet and we take all the liquor.
The operations will continue sporadically throughout the set lockdown periods. Meanwhile, the South African government has been praised in some quarters for acting faster, more efficiently, and more ruthlessly to curb the spread of the coronavirus. According to the Health Ministry, South Africa's restrictions have succeeded in reducing the average daily confirmed COVID-19 cases from 42% to about 4% since the lockdown began. A few weeks ago, the Health Department also initiated a mass COVID-19 screening and testing program. The program has been rolled out in various communities directly to people's homes across the country in an effort to locate and treat as many positive cases as possible. The lockdown will last until the end of April. Yolisa Njamela for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Tunisia's Education Ministry has launched an online learning platform amid an extended coronavirus lockdown. The initiative has attracted the input of students, parents and teachers and educational digital services providers to create content for learners.
The National Center for Technologies in Education is in charge of the implementation of the ministry's program at the Tunisian Virtual School.
The virtual school offers a space for distance learning. It is a space for virtual classrooms where teachers and students can interact together.
Developed by Tunisian engineers, teachers and educational inspectors, the new platform aims to fill the void and to offer an alternative way for continuing the school year, following its interruption due to the coronavirus pandemic.
The website also includes a virtual library. Free educational resources are listed. They are made by Tunisian teachers and validated by educational inspectors. These resources are classified and indexed in order to facilitate research.
Sandra has been at home for more than 5 weeks due to the general lockdown in the country. Yet the 10-year-old primary school pupil continues studying with her mother. She misses her school and friends. However, Sandra views online education as an opportunity.
I think that for some subjects, it's even better to study at home than in class. I can rewind videos and watch the same course many times online, while the teacher does not always repeat in class. We must adapt until the end of the pandemic.
Experts at the National Center for Technologies in Education assert that the Tunisian virtual school is a step forward in the development of online education. This discipline was neglected in the past as it lacked the necessary resources before the coronavirus crisis. Authorities now say that boosting online education is a national priority. Adnan Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
Egypt has marked a subdued Orthodox Easter. During this time, millions traditionally feast on fisik, a delicacy of fermented salty fish. But this year, fisik sales are down amid an ongoing coronavirus lockdown. Here's Adel Mahri with more.
Shem Nissim is the Arabic phrase Egyptians use for Easter. It literally translates to smelling a breath of air. Every year, millions prepare their picnic gear to enjoy eating fisik in parks.
In Easter, Fesich is the #1 seller. Most people eat it only on that celebration. Herring comes next.
Fisik is made from fermented and heavily salted grey mullet. It takes about 1 month to prepare that popular dish. So weeks before the government cancelled the Easter celebrations this year, Ahmed Abu Tahoun was tripling his stocks and manpower.
There's almost no work. That's because of the COVID-19 lockdown. This made the prices steady. People are afraid to take the streets. There are no Easter celebrations this year. Sales dropped by about 60%. During these days, we used to have mass production for corporations and huge families.
During this time of the year, salted fish shops like this one would see scores of clients lining up until the end of the road. All want to have their favorite dish during Easter. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has forced the operation to only home deliveries and takeouts. If it weren't for the other salted fish products Abu Tahoun produces, COVID-19 might have forced him to completely shut down. With the holy month of Ramadan just 4 days following Easter, fisik received a double hit this season. Most Egyptians won't afford to buy the Ramadan food stock and this $10 a kilo Easter treat. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
Coming up in sports. Sensational Kenyan basketball player is on a mission to break barriers in the United States.
You don't find the stories of North Africa by sitting on the sidelines. You've got to get out, go there, and you'll find them. In the bazaars of Casablanca, among the crowds in Cairo,
who come to visit Cairo, the ancient capital of Egypt.
Along the waters of the Nile, along the sands of the Sahara. No one else will take you where we can in North Africa. No one else will show you what it's all about. CGTN, see the difference.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
Peninah Karibe is on the verge of making history as the first female Kenyan to play collegiate basketball in the NCAA Division I League in the United States. CGTN's Wokista Nyabwa brings us her story.
Peninah Karibe was motivated to go for it by compatriot and Hollywood actress Lupita Nyong'o when she famously declared all dreams are valid after receiving an Oscar in 2014. Karibe, who hails from the expansive Kenyan Rift Valley, has been pursuing her dream of playing in the NCAA circuit since she joined high school.
It's a great honor
it's something to be proud of, and I believe that my career as a Trojan is going to be a successful one. So I really do not regret the decision that I made to commit to Troy University.
Karanga's journey to the elite level of the college basketball in the United States has been a year in the making, and despite having offers from some of the top schools, she proudly signed with Troy University's Trojan women basketball team.
Committing to Troy is something that I didn't expect I was going to do because I had other options that were also good programs, but the coaching staff of Troy gave me an atmosphere that most international students lack in most programs, which is a family-oriented program.
The coronavirus pandemic has delayed her top collegiate league basketball debut, as she also struggles with the challenge of being away from her family during the lockdown.
Well, it's really challenging because I cannot go home due to the closures of airports and borders. It's not easy, it's tough. So to deal with that, I just make phone calls back home and talk to my family. And I make sure that I keep them for an hour or longer so that I escape the feeling of being lonely.
Despite the setback, Karanga has found creative ways to keep fit while still maintaining the social distance rules like millions of other athletes across the globe.
To maintain my fitness, the fact that I cannot go to the gym or interact with other people is also really challenging because it's not easy to work out alone or like work out without equipment. But I usually just jog 5 times a week every evening, and I also maintain my core, and I also do some free bodyweight workouts which focus more on my lower body and upper body workout.
The Kenyan forward last represented her country at the 2019 FIBA Afrobasket qualifiers, where Kenya lost the final to Egypt. Karanga now hopes her ambition of playing in the top-tier Women NBA League in America will be realized, and her journey will help Kenyan female basketballers gain international recognition. Wilkisa Nyabwa, CGTN.
The crossover to West Africa, where former Cameroon striker Samuel Eto'o has led